Hey guys, this was one of the biggest updates of the entire year, right? Patch 8.11. Obviously then a lot has changed because of that, and today we're going to be checking out the best in each role. Timestamps and a list are down in the description so you can read those, but we'll obviously talk about what actually makes them so good in the video. By the way, a few people have asked me if I'm still doing the Nubria stuff, and yeah, I am taking both the zone and the charge ones. Zone is the one that you take every day that has this kind of like overtime effect of improving your focus and cognitive function, which is actually starting to kick in now. Charge is instant energy, but no jitters or anything like that. So sometimes like I take one before a stream to give me a little kick to actually start and play. You can get 30% off right now with my code down below as well if you want to try them out or find out some more information. So AD carries to start with, then we'll go into mid lane, then jungle, then support and top lane to finish the video off. I have made quite a few AD carry videos recently, but obviously it was the AD carry update this patch. Builds are a bit weird now as well. Stuff is going to change, but while we're figuring it all out, our main ones are going to be Lucian, Kai'Sa, Draven, and Miss Fortune. So I want to talk about Miss Fortune right now because she can dominate the lane phase even more than before. Lane bullies are much better for bot lane. You have two really good builds. Lethality is a bit more popular. It's kind of the standard one. Armor was also reduced this patch for ADs, so it's going to hurt just a little bit more. I prefer the other build though. I played some Storm Razor Rush into Rapid Fire Cannon, a long range crit with love tap damage. That is a really good poke tool. Your ultimate can crit as well, so it does actually scale. But honestly, Miss Fortune is just a little bit too strong with either build, with games being a lot shorter. The cool thing is that it is a lot up to you as well. Like the build, you can kind of choose yourself. You can run Arcane Comet, you could run Aerie, you could run Conqueror, even Dark Harvest if you're like a little bit of cheese. I want to talk about Kai'Sa as well because the micro patch nerfs hit her pretty hard. She is not as good as she was in the first few days of the patch. Definitely not God tier anymore like I said back then. She is still good though, and there are a lot of good builds out there that you can try and see what you fancy, how you want to play. AP is the main one right now. You play for your passive damage and your W with the Nash's Tooth and a Death Cap after Rage Bait. But now Essence Reaver is obviously really good on her as well. Normally you would slot that into a build a bit later into the game. It's better than going for it straight away. You could also build crit if you wanted to, like an Infinity Edge on her is really good with the Runins. She is still more of a mid to late game choice though with either build, but one that is decent from just 1 to 2 items. Doesn't need as long in a game like a Vayne to power up. Lucian obviously spiked out of nowhere. We've talked about him a lot in previous videos, so I'm not going to go into him as much as before, but he is a lot better. Game is faster, lane bullies are better, and the new Essence Reaver is amazing on him. Draven was the last one. Storm Razor is such a good item for him, but he's just able to get ahead a little bit easier in the lane phase, and with that lead plus Conqueror, it is really hard to survive. Jinx is going to be my honorable mention for AD carries. In my opinion, the best crit champion on the patch for a few reasons, but like her passive and her Q attack speed to make you more deadly at just one item in the early fights, which is really important. Storm Razor is also great on her if you always use it with a rocket, as it's going to be an AoE crit and do some serious chunk damage. You also do have the option though to ignore Razor and go straight into an Infinity Edge, which makes her a powerhouse at like 2 to 3 items. But basically, she's a crit champion who activates a little bit earlier into the game. Mid lane has a real mix of assassins and mages right now. Even poke champions are going to be better, but Talon, like Twisted Fate, Zoe, and Lux stand out. Twisted Fate has always been decent for solo queue, right? With how much he can roam and impact the rest of the map. We never ever actually talk about him properly, but I think that's especially true this patch. You have good wave clear, which has been nerfed for a lot of other champions. You have a decent lane phase, and obviously then he roams and controls the game more after that. I think it actually helps that there are a lot more aggressive champions in mid lane, and Twisted Fate can really get away from them, play away from them on the map, and impact other lanes. Your damage is also pretty nuts, so let's not forget that, but you can actually even go Banner of Command Rush at first item. No joke. Pretty depressing, but it works. Banner and Lichbane will absolutely crush towers, and you become like the ultimate cheese tower pusher if you fancy that. Zoe is definitely back though. I've said this a few times so far, but I see her a lot, and on a good player, she can practically 1v9. After all of the changes, she is definitely weaker later into the game, but still just as brutal early, which is what we really want right now. Lowalytics actually has this thing that tracks how champion mains are doing on the patch, and Zoe right now is over a 60% win rate for them. Normally that number is about 55 to 56% for most champions, so Zoe is off the charts when you actually learn her. We tend to go Lichbane a little bit more, but Koreans actually prefer Ludens into Morello for more poke and a burst. Kind of up to you though and how you want to play. Talon is really just insane. I think he's pretty overpowered, and a good one can pretty much take over the game. He's going to run around, go over walls, he's going to have a lot of damage, and there's not much you can do about it. Lux has just been buffed over and over to the point where they forced her to be good, almost honestly. She is safe, she has good damage and wave clear, and actually can one-shot plus use the ultimate a ton more than she used to be able to. Anivia is going to be my honorable mention. She got hit really hard with those mana changes introduced a few patches ago with the mage update, but then they buffed her in 8.11 Draven, and it seemed to seriously help her. They gave her Q a lower cooldown and also increased the AP ratio on it. The AP ratio is better on both parts, but her wave clear is actually better again, something they nerfed on almost everybody. Like we said with Twisted Fate, right? He and Anivia are two of the only champions that have really good pushing power now, so you add that to her damage and she's awesome. The jungle update was a few patches ago, right? The main thing that came from it, now the dust has kind of settled more than anything, is that tank junglers are a lot weaker. Graves, Xin Zhao are still monsters, but like Udyr and Master Yi are a lot better as well this patch. Master Yi is finally above a global 50% win rate, which almost never happens, honestly. He is always pretty low down. There are quite a few builds that are working at the moment. Some of them just seem so weird, but they actually win a lot of games. It's kind of all lined up for him at once, if that makes sense. We've now got Conqueror in the game. Blade the Ring King is cheaper. Rage Blade now boosts AD from a few patches ago. You add in Essence Reaver and Storm Razor into that on this patch, and both items obviously are insane on him, giving him more like immediate power. The thing is, he's still going to be insane later, right? He just right clicks and that's pretty much it. But now he's better throughout the game as well. He can do a little bit more. So that is why he's so much better. I think Udyr has been like top of the roll for the past like 3 or 4 patches really, but it's even better in 8.10 and now in 8.11. His crab control and his dueling is next level. So since the update, he's actually getting exactly what he wants, like a lot more fights and a lot more gold. Trinity Force is so good on him. Lowalytics reckons you win 60% of the games if you can complete that item. Even if that is not 100% accurate, that's pretty ridiculous. Udyr scales really well with items though, with his AD ratios and everything else. He can duel, he can split, he can control objectives, crap. He can even like gank and stuff as well. So there isn't much that he is bad at the moment. He's never that popular, but if you're struggling to climb, you're kind of getting a bit frustrated on this patch as a jungler, I think now will be a really good time to at least give him a go and see if you can kind of click with him and make him work. Graves is obviously still nuts though. He's really good at dueling and fighting over the crab. His damage is also stupid once he gets a few items, so he can actually carry himself. Xin is the early game powerhouse. The game is shifted to be exactly what he wants, and he does have the damage to close the game if you get a lead, but he's not going to be the best late game. Wukong is my honorable mention, and one that I feel can't quite like get into the top rankings for junglers, but he's so good. Top lane or jungle, he brings so much damage now. I always thought of him like as a teamfight champion, like his ultimate and stuff is really good for that, right? But he's also actually a decent ganker and a strong jeweler. He can fight and he can scale, so it's a pretty good deal. Like he can do both. Support has moved to be way more about the lane phase. Like the support player is the one who normally controls the lane now with the AD carry nerf. So we've got like Zyra, Morgana, Rakan, and Nami there. I think this is their first patch in a long time, by the way, where Janna doesn't seem to be that overpowered. So Zyra is without a doubt the best you can play for the early game impact and dominating the lane. Now remember, Fleet Footwork was nerfed, HP regen was nerfed on AD carries as well. So any poke that you land is now going to be a lot harder to heal back. That is going to mean that you can fight a lot more, you can zone, you can set the enemy AD way further behind than you could so far in Season 8. As you get into the game, you'll be doing a lot of damage, and this is another reason that I rate Zyra so highly at the moment. Normally when you have such a good early game, when you have a lot of pressure there, the price that you pay is a weak late game. Zyra isn't amazing in later game fights, but she still provides good damage, some zone and stuff, and you can actually stay even. Morgana is a lot more of a balanced approach, I guess, but she is one of the most banned supports for a reason, and a big one is because she can stop people making plays. The game is a lot about that right now, like who is more aggressive, and your Black Shield is the biggest cockblock I think in the game. It's so good in teamfights just to stick on somebody and let them get stuck in. You've got good damage, you can try to land binds and have a good lane phase that way. You can follow up afterwards obviously, but you're more well-rounded. Rakan is pretty busted on a good player. Like you put him AP, you grab a Zeke's, you can almost solo carry a game with your engage. I honestly feel like he is probably the hardest carry support in the game. Nami is a more defensive option, kind of, that still has a really good lane phase. That is why she can be better than champions like a Janna right now in the game. She has an okay team fight, but her lane phase is a lot more powerful. Fiddlesticks is my honorable mention. I've got a real hard on for this guy right now, and I'm fully aware of that, but I think he's such a good support. His E has got a low mana cost, like you can spam it, you can bounce it, you can silence, and it's so annoying to play against. When you try and stop him, he's gonna fear you and then run away as well. It's really hard to gank him or actually fight him. Obviously then you have your big ultimate, which adds something for team fights, and I think he's just really awesome for this meta. Top lane has changed the least this patch. We've got like Singed, Camille, Irelia, Mundo, but there are a lot of decent bruisers that you could play right now. These just stand out a little bit more. Singed is now the most played top laner in Korea at the moment and still has one of the highest win rates at the same time. After his changes ages ago, he became an early game monster that fell off a little bit later, and surprise, surprise, this patch the game has shifted to be even more early game. It's also the power of the new banner of command. They rush this item early pretty much every time. They did this last patch. It's now out even better. If you add in a Irelia's with the AP and the move speed, a Rylai's, a Leandri's, you've got someone who is really irritating to play against, but also one that does a lot of damage. The idea is that you're going to be pushing a side lane with Banner of Command, then roam to the rest of the team, flank with your grounding, flip as well, but take a tower with that banner minion. Camille is a little bit different. She's not about the early game as much. She's just really solid throughout the entire game. Like a proper carry champion, you can carry early, you can carry late. The build is in a good spot, even if it's pretty much the same items every single game. Like it's the most static build I think we have for any champion. She is decent versus a lot of meta champions right now, at least even, but a lot are actually pretty good for her and she can win them. There is not really much to say, let's be fair. Camille has been good for ages and she's just still good now. Irelia has the potential though to be the most broken champion in the game, I think. Once people learn her mark system properly, she can 100-0, especially the enemy AD, without them really having anything to say about it. Mundo is still on the crazy side of things as well, just refuses to die and has a lot of damage. One of the better tank choices because you can just absorb a lot of damage. Kled is one of those bruisers that I think got a lot better out this patch, but we don't see a ton of. And honestly, this honorable mention could have been loads of different things like Quinn or even Aatrox maybe. He is a bit more reliable though. He has a good lane phase, notoriously good at shutting down other bruisers and having like a sick early game. He can use his ultimate though to get his whole team stuck in. Pull the trigger, be the one to make the move first and engage, and that helps out a ton this patch. So there you go. If you enjoyed, remember to hit the subscribe button and like the video, but thank you for watching. Hopefully it helps you understand this crazy patch just a little bit more, but for now I will leave you with the robots.